I wanted to wait and make my comments because I think, as many folks know, I'm not on either of the bills, but I wanted to address rent stabilization today, and something I know a fair amount about because I was the mayor in the city of Tacoma Park, the only jurisdiction that has some measure of permanent rent stabilization. And as I know, as we continue this conversation over the next couple of months, there has already been a lot said about Tacoma Park, and I just want to address this head on, so maybe we could just move on and discuss these two bills and not go and demystify some of these things. First, a number of people have criticized the Tacoma Park law, noting a lack of development. Well, those of you who really know Tacoma Park know it is 2.4 square miles and is pretty built up. There are very, very, very few parcels that could be developed. And I have worked in this space for many years. And I can tell you, in the few areas where we could redevelop, there is interest. So let's just put to rest the fact that people say it's because of rent stabilization that Tacoma Park has not had new buildings. We have had a lot of redevelopment there and other things. And I do want to say that for the folks living there, we have provided a very reliable way to preserve affordable units and residents who are allowed to continue to live in their community, the children to go to our local schools. And so I just want to address those two things head on, and I hope in the coming months we can move past those. I also want to share my own personal story and why this issue and housing in general is very important to me. As Councilmember Joando was talking about before, I grew up the oldest of 3 kids. My mom was a school teacher in Brooklyn, New York. And we were renters. And every few years we moved. Brooklyn's a big place. And I can tell you I've lived in probably almost every neighborhood in Brooklyn and gone to different schools every couple of years. And that was really hard on our family when you're forced to move and it's not your choice. So when I came to this county and was able to rent and then own a home, it was because I wanted to create a stable environment for my family. And that's really what I want to do as we move forward looking at both of these bills. And as we continue the conversation, I think there are some things, as I listen to what my colleagues are saying up here and as they've talked about these issues, some goals that I believe we can all agree with, and I'm going to put them out there today. The first is predictability and predictable costs. Everyone needs to be able to plan and budget. People need to understand and make choices and be able to make life decisions. Do I get engaged? Do I start a family? Can I send a kid to college? Can I go to grad school? Can I change jobs? How can I afford this medical procedure? Being able to plan gives people control of their lives. So we need predictability. Second, we need stability. And this is pretty straightforward. No one wants to continually be forced to move, have their kids change schools, deal with the logistics and the cost of that. And so people deserve to have stability in their lives. Third is affordability. We need to make sure everyone can afford housing, and we need to address the affordability crisis. And that doesn't mean we make it impossible for owners to afford to provide rental units, and it means we have honest conversation about housing costs. We also need more housing for more people in general, housing at all levels of affordability. And this does mean we need to loosen zoning laws near transit and get rid of exclusionary housing. But this isn't only a supply side problem. It is an all of the above problem. Fourth, safety. It's imperative that we make sure rental units are safe, free from mold, free from vermin, that they have updated and safe electrical work, they meet fire code, and that all regulations are followed and people are not in jeopardy of illness or, in extreme cases, the possibility of death. The bottom line is that rent stabilization protects people from excessive rent increases by creating a schedule for reasonable and gradual increases while ensuring that owners receive a fair return on their investment. So that is what, in my opinion, should be our goals. And in addition, we should make sure we are still encouraging the building of more housing. Again, I do not believe we will solve our housing issues with rent stabilization alone. And I do want to note, though, that any increase over 10% is really constructive eviction. Constructive eviction is a landlord's effort to remove a tenant through means other than formal eviction. But the result is the same. And particularly in a county where we have been unable in Annapolis to pass just cause eviction, allowing rental increases over 10% does put more people in jeopardy. And I do really want to emphasize that for landlords and builders, we need to create a fair return for their investment. We need to make sure they are able to keep up on the maintenance of their properties, and that we still encourage people to come here and build new housing. Finally, I want to note that for both of the bills being introduced today, the issues, as I've said, are more than just focusing on the allowable rates of increase. There are many other factors we've all talked about over the last few months and will continue to. We need to make sure we do no harm to the affordable housing units we have. We need to address safety, invest in inspections and inspectors. We need to make sure folks who own the units can make it work for their budgets. And we need to find alternatives to unfair evictions. So I think the goals are predictability, affordability, stability, and safe housing for all. And as I work with my colleagues and all of you, I pledge to do everything I can to deliver on these goals. And I truly look forward to the upcoming discussions. Thank you.